All right, today we're going to talk about one of my absolute favorite features in Python. It's this incredibly clean, super powerful, and honestly, almost magical way to check if something exists inside a collection. We are talking about the membership operators.
I mean, think about it. You've definitely done this. You're scrolling through a playlist looking for that one song, or maybe you're checking a list of names to see if you're on it. It's such a basic thing we do all the time, right? Well, in programming, we have to do it constantly. But the question is, what's the best way?
So let's look at what I call the hard way. In a lot of other programming languages, this is kind of how you'd have to do it. You set up a little flag variable, found, and you set it to false. Then you have to write a whole for loop to check every single item. Inside that, you've got an if statement. I mean, it works for sure, but look at it. That's a lot of code for a really simple question, isn't it? It just feels clunky. And that exact feeling, that, there has to be a better way feeling, that's what leads to really great code. And in Python, a language that is all about being readable and simple, you better believe there's a better way. And here they are. The official name is membership operators. They're these special keywords that are built right into Python for one job and one job only, to see if something is inside something else. That's it. They just give you a direct answer to that question. And there are only two of them, which makes it super easy. You've got in, which asks, hey, is this thing here? And you've got not in, which asks, is this thing, well, not here? They're perfect opposites. So simple. Let's see how they actually work. Okay, first up, the star of the show, the in operator. Think of this as your go-to detective for checking if something exists. Now remember that big, clunky for loop from a couple of slides ago? Well, this one line of code completely replaces it. Look how clean this is. We have a guest list, and we just ask Python, Bob in guest list. It literally reads like a sentence you would actually say out loud. And Python just comes back and tells you, true. Yep, Bob's on the list. No loops, no flags, just a straight answer. And what's really cool is how versatile this is. It's not just for lists. Here, you can see it works on strings too. We can ask if the smaller string world is inside the bigger string hello world. And once again, Python comes back with true. So useful. Okay, so let's flip this around and talk about its partner, not in. If in is all about confirming that something is there, not in is for confirming that it's absent. It's just as important, and it works exactly the same way, just, the opposite. Let's go back to that guest list. This time, we ask, is David not in the guest list? Python takes a look, sees Alice, Bob, Charlie, no David. So our statement, David is not in the list, is correct. And the result we get back is true. And just to make sure this logic is totally clear, look at this. What if we ask if Alice is not in the list? Well, Python sees that Alice is right there, so our statement is wrong. And because our statement is wrong, the result is false. It's perfectly logical, perfectly predictable. So this is way more than just a neat little shortcut. Using in and not in is a huge part of what developers call writing Pythonic code. And all that means is code that's super clean, easy to read, and gets the job done efficiently. And their versatility is a big part of why they're so powerful. You can see here, they work on all sorts of things. For lists, it checks for elements. For strings, it checks for substrings. But, and you have to remember this one, for dictionaries, it checks for the presence of a key, not a value. It's asking, is age a key in this dictionary, not is 25 one of the values. That's a super important distinction. So let's just sum this all up. Why do we love these operators so much? First, readability. The code basically explains itself. Second, conciseness. You're taking like 5 lines of code and squishing them into one beautiful line. Third, efficiency. This isn't just for looks. It's a super optimized operation built right into Python's core. And finally, you get that simple true or false output. And that is the key to everything. Because really, getting a true or a false is just the first step. That leads us to the real question, the one I want to leave you with. Now that you have this incredibly simple way to ask a yes or no question, what can you do with that answer? How can you use it to make your program make decisions, to control its logic, to make it smart? That is where these simple operators stop being just a neat trick and start becoming the building blocks for truly powerful applications.